Right, folks, we've started a new thing called SHOWBIZ News over the last few days, where we put 3 or 4 stories together, or 5 or 6, depending on what's in the news. I've looked here, there and everywhere, and I can find virtually nothing to talk about today, so there's only like 3 quick stories. But the news is dominated by one story, obviously, today. The sad demise of, is it Liam Payne, I think it is. Now, let me say this, folks. I am not a One Direction fan at all. Never have been. Do I think they're talented? A little, but not that talented. Do I think they were superstars? Do I think they were huge? Absolutely massive. Don't think they deserved it, but absolutely massive. Absolutely ginormous, and it's created shockwaves. More so because of his age. I mean, 31 really is no age. You know, I'm one of those people up until a few years ago that I'd say, well, how can anybody have all these mental health problems and that problem and the other problem with all that money, with all that they've got? And then you realise that everybody through all walks of life can be touched by mental health. And it seems that Liam had some demons there. He had some mental health issues. He also had addiction issues. Often they go hand in hand. And it's just all really, really sad. And I mean, really sad. I wasn't that late to the party, but it was probably a good hour after it was announced last night that I heard about it. A good friend of mine tipped me the wink and said, have you heard about old Liam? I'd heard nothing. Went on MSN and seen it there. And I knew it was going to be that he'd obviously gone. And I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't. And, you know, it's just so sad. I mean, he's 31. He's got a girlfriend, but more than that, you know, because he's not been with her for that long. He's got a mum and dad who thought the world of him by all accounts. 2 older sisters. And it's just so sad. It's just a shame that nobody could have been there for him. Nobody could have saved him. Some people just can't be saved. Some people don't want to be saved, you know. I've been lucky throughout my life. I mean, I've got a family here and none of us really suffer from mental health. Over the last few years, I've come across a couple of people that do. One has become a really good friend. And it's hard. It's hard for the person with it. It's also hard for family members and friends. It's, you know, I know somebody that I think a lot of, that, you know, not too long ago tried to do something to themselves. Luckily, never went through with it in the end, or it never happened. And you think about that person all the time. I've known 2 or 3 people that have committed suicide, and I mean, one of them was, 35, 40 years ago. I've never forgotten him since. I'm not saying Liam did that, although there are reports saying, some are saying that he's dove off the balcony on purpose. Some are saying he's come off the balcony because he's been that high on drugs and drink. He's not known he's done it. But by all accounts, it does seem, whether it's been intentional or not, that it's the boy's fault, the man's fault, which is a great shame. I believe they found lots of evidence of drugs there. He'd been drinking. And it's just so sad. It really, really is. But I mean, he found fame at 14. Well, he got known at 14. Found fame at 16. Was in a huge boy band from probably 17 or 18. I don't know what it was. He's lived his life in the spotlight, and many just can't cope with that. And I don't think he did. I've made different stories today. I mean, he's had a drink problem for many a year. He has had substance abuse. You know, he'd been clean from drink for 100 days recently, but obviously he's fallen off the wagon, and it's just a shame. It's a real shame. I just feel so sorry for his mum and dad. I really do. 2 decent, normal, hard-working parents from, is it Wolverhampton, I think it is, and it just knocks you back a little bit. I mean, it's been on every media outlet today. It's been on every TV programme, and rightly so. As I say, I wasn't a fan of his, but because of his age and because things I'm hearing, I mean, some really nice things about him. It's just sad. You know, I think he's had problems with a past girlfriend who's only filed things against him about a week ago. He's obviously not really been in his son's life because him and Cheryl had split, but I believe he thought the world of him. He's just not had a great life for all. He's had loads of money and loads of fame. It's not gone hand in hand with having a great life, and I just think he's not coped, and it's just awful. But at the back of it all, there's some lovely stories out there. Some people are saying he was a great young lad, you know, he'd be sorely missed. I've seen something on the TV today. I've seen a couple of things on the TV. I mean, I'm going to end this like I always do. I know it's a sad subject, but I'm going to knock somebody. I've heard something not long since on the TV that I just cannot believe somebody said. But on the plus side first, I've heard something that, I nearly called her Sian Lloyd, because I'm crap with names. Sian Lloyd, I think, was a weather girl. It's Sian Wellesby, is it? She's the girl that's did a short stint last year on This Morning, and now and again comes on there. I think she's a DJ on Capital, I think, in London there. She's been on This Morning a few times, and I've said in the past she should have got the gig for me, she's a breath of fresh air. She's the best I've seen on this morning, and she only backed that up today. They had a chat with her from a radio station early on this morning today, and then she was live in the studio right at the end of the programme talking about him. And she said both times, he was a great lad, he was really good. He came on our radio station on a pretty regular basis, probably because it was down in London. He's always probably based there, the big bands are. She said nothing was too much trouble. He was great with the staff, he was never the big I am. Whenever we did anything that was a bit of a laugh and a joke, he took part, he was never above anything, he wanted to muck in, he didn't mind making fun of himself. He said he was great. Now, I would suggest other people in the spotlight like he is at the top end of things, because that's what he was. I'm not so sure he deserved to be there, but he was. He was huge. His band was huge. They tend not to play the game. They tend to be straight-laced, and it's do what I want you to do, and they're a bit arsey and this, that, and the other. But she said he was nothing like that. He just mucked in. We had a laugh. He was great. Great to talk to, great to listen to, great to be with, great fun to be around. And you think, how sad, what a real shame, just a real shame. As I say, I've not been touched by mental health, although I know some that haven't, and it's an awful thing, it really is. I mean, I feel so sorry for the young lad that he's not with us anymore, but I feel just as sorry for his friends and his family. It must be shocking for them. It must be really, really terrible. Awful news, just really, really sad. Anyway, not the downside, the other side of things. I heard she was on the telly today. She does my head in. That I nearly want to call her Rachel Hunter now. She's got a bit more class. Penny Lancaster's on there, and they're talking on the TV about Liam and who might have met him and what they think of it and whatever else. And I thought, when they come to her, somehow or other, she's going to fashion the conversation to bring Rod into the conversation. She's bound to. She does it every single time. They ask her last but one, and what do you think, Penny? Oh, lovely lad. I remember. Oh, Rod was doing something with 200 guests or something a few years ago now. It might be the Albert Hall or somewhere. It was just a year after One Direction won that, were on the X Factor. Just a year after that, they were all young lads, and they all looked up to Rod. They were all looking up to Rod, and they loved the way that he's great at helping young uns to get up the ladder in music. And I'm thinking, is there two Rod Stewarts? Is there a Rod Stewart that I don't know about? I've never heard of that Rod Stewart before. Never. I've never heard of Rod Stewart doing anything for anybody really, or pushing anybody. I've not. Now his mate, Elton, that's a different kettle of fish. All I hear about Elton John is he's got reams and reams of new music. He buys music all the time. He's down there with the kids. He knows everything new. He knows all bands. He knows all singers. He promotes bands. He promotes singers. He's done it with Ed Sheeran. He's done it with loads of others in the past. People we've never heard of. If he likes you and he thinks you're good, he reaches out and he tries to help you along your career path. That's what Elton does. I've never heard of Rod Stewart doing anything like that in my old cream puff. Ever. Never. With Rod, it's all about Rod. And I'm thinking, I don't think the One Direction boys were looking up to Rod or thinking he's going to give us an hand up. I'd love to know what kind of hand up Rod Stewart gave them. If that's what Penny really thinks, is it Penny? Yeah, Penny. I'd love to know what Rod Stewart did for them boys. I would suggest nothing, folks. Absolutely nothing. I can't believe it. And I'm thinking, why on earth, when they're talking about that young boy dying, sadly dying, why has Rod got to come into it? Why can't you just say, yeah, I met them once. They were at a concert years ago, seemed nice lads. That'd have done. But not trying to tell us how great Rod is. Today is about Liam Payne, it's not about Rod. I heard Lorraine as well, she's another nut, I forgot her. Well, fans were really hoping they'd get back together, maybe it won't happen now, but maybe it will. Maybe the four will get back together in homage to Liam. How great would that be? Wouldn't that be great? And I'm thinking, wait a minute, he just died? And you're talking about the other four getting back together to celebrate his life. They did it with Sarah Haddon, she said, Girls Aloud. Totally different. Totally different. He's died today, Lorraine. And you're getting a reunion going with the other four. And I'm thinking, totally inappropriate, lovey. Totally inappropriate. These people have got gigs on ITV all the time. ITV's just, it's as bad as BBC for me. I don't care what you say. But no, really, really sad news. Really, really sad. Right, what else did we have today? Not much else, folks. I read something in the MSN or somewhere. Ozzy Osbourne in 2000, the year 2000, was being approached by Van Halen to sing with Van Halen. He says he would have done it as well, would have loved to have done it, but At Home with the Osbournes got in the way. Thank God for At Home with the Osbournes. I would have hated that. I used to love Van Halen, especially Van Halen 1 with Lee Roth. He would have totally ruined it, totally. There's no way on God's green earth they'd have ever sung an original Van Halen song with Ozzy. He wouldn't be able to sing them. Absolutely no chance. And then I also read, this is just a surprising story. So, look, there's someone I don't like. Biggins. Old Biggins. I'm surprised he said nothing about Liam or anyone else today. He's always got something to say about everybody. Yes, Biggins was saying today, he said, I'm very unhappy with the Beat. Very unhappy. He said, they used to show Porridge nearly all the time. A couple of times a year. Every time they showed it, I got 1,500 quid or thereabouts. 1,500 quid. It was nice. It was a nice little earner. They've sold it on now to gold. It's on there. You get peanuts. He said, do you know what? I've had cheques for as little as 15 pence. 15 pence? What can you do with a 15 pence cheque? I felt some sympathy. He's correct there. He is right. But I thought, well, it's only Biggins. I don't mind Biggins not earning because I think he's got absolutely no talent at all. Funnily enough, I think the only good thing he's ever done in his career, the only good thing was Porridge. I thought he was good in that. But other than that, absolutely crap. Another celebrity hanger-on. And he hangs on for dear life, he does. But can you believe that? From 1,500 quid to 15 pence. There's a bit of a difference there, folks, isn't there? Good grief there is. Right, I'll leave that with you anyway.